on the fast mail. They usually run about 70 miles an hour, I wish. It's coming from Chicago to LA. People actually see what happened there, what the fast mail did? Well, we're going to do it again towards the end of the video. I'm Phil Anderson from Arizona Rock and Mineral Company, and I'm featuring one of my favorite trains. It's called the fast mail, Santa Fe style, that is. The mail trains ran from Los Angeles to Chicago every day. They probably had about 12-15 cars in them. They had RPOs up front. They might leave one off in Albuquerque or pick one up. At the same time one left LA, there's one that left Chicago. They would meet somewhere there between Albuquerque and Raton, New Mexico. And they would run just non-stop except to refuel or change crews. One crew changed places. Albuquerque, a refueling stop might be in Winslow, Arizona. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into getting this mail train to work. And if you saw signals change, it's because I use these twin T block detectors. They have a relay with 6 positions or 6 poles and 2 positions. And I run my signals off of 2 of the terminals. The crossing gauge flashers come on automatically with one of the other poles, so I don't have to do so much. Now, this is the relay, and I always use these terminal strips. It consists of 2 transistors, thus the twin T. These are the 2 power transistors, and when the train isn't going to one direction, the power goes to one of these transistors. When it goes the other direction, it goes to the other transistor. It will also detect the train just sitting on the tracks, and that's by turning this other little power transistor on and off that controls the relay. And there are 2 versions of this kind. I use this one with the full high power transistors. The ones with the diode shuntings are garbage. Don't even build them. Along with that, like I said, you can control your signals. This happens to be an NJ International. I don't use these too much, but I use more of the other style from Oregon Rail. I make my own, and I got some real nice ones from Tomar. Speaking of Tomar, you also make these drum heads for the back of the train. And this one here is controlled with a battery inside the car. Just change these batteries out. Oh, that switch is so hard to make. There it goes. These little toggle switches right here from Radio Shack, I was putting them in the doorways, but they're too hard to work. And they're hit and miss too. Okay, let's forget about this car. The other thing I do is I use diaphragms from American Limited. They make them for streamlined cars and another style for the old heavyweight cars. You can mix your cars up in the train, it don't matter. So let's grab another Santa Fe passenger car. This is what you call a rear end car. Here I have a toggle switch for turning on the lights. You don't even have to take the car off the track. All you have to do is just tip the car a little bit. Now you get to see the drum head lit up and interior lights in the car. And then you see on the other end I have gold connectors. So for the battery pack of this car, I can route power to cars ahead of it. I generally only have a battery pack for every 3 cars. And I use the rechargeable batteries. There you see the operating diaphragm. Those are a must-have in your passenger trains. When you have passenger trains with no diaphragms, you see these big gaps between the cars. It looks real toy-like. This here makes it look much more real. And again, turn off the switch. In the typical mail train, here we show the hooks I made for catching the mail. They swing up to catch the mail, and I make those out of stainless steel wire. And the hardware to hold it to the car is out of brass and brass tubing for hinges. There again you see the diaphragms. This car have lights? No, this car gets its power from another car. Well, let's see. We have a typical baggage car, and they use these in the fast mail for just storing sacks of mail or freight. You had your express company that hauled heavier packages, and then you had the mail that hauled the parcel post packages. And some of these cars now, these streamlined cars, I went ahead and got some better trucks for them. Here you see right here a truck that's got metal frames. Got these out of Intermountain, out of Denver. They're actually made by a hobby shop in Chicago area. And the only problem with this, you get a derailment, the metal trucks will hit the rails and give you a big old short circuit. So you got to be quick to shut things down. They're not perfect, but they look a little better. You see, I don't have them on all the cars. I'm just experimenting with what works best. Okay, let's move on to something else. I'll put the lights on. Well, our fast mail, when it gets to Ash Fork, it's going to stop and switch cars, because there's cars that were brought up out of Phoenix and they need to get on that train. Phoenix being a small city, I had plenty of freight, and I painted up this baggage express car my own colors. I just wanted to stand out, and I put big decals on there like you might see on an engine. I don't think they ever saw one like this in real life, but I like to be different. So then we have another car, an extra storage, mail storage car, and they picked these up, and the train may leave a couple here for stuff out of LA that's got to go to Phoenix. That was a junction for Phoenix. That train out of Phoenix also brought up what we call a sleeper car, first class car. There are a lot of rich people down in Phoenix, you know, and before airplanes and good highways, they used the railroad. You had people like the Goldwaters and so forth. They would go first class in the train. And that car get left there in the middle of the night, and the next few hours, the Grand Canyon Limited would come by and pick it up. Now you can see remnants of my Grand Canyon Limited up here in this upper level. Don't have all the cars in it right now, but a train that looks similar to that made all the stops along the way. It was the workhorse on the railroad, so they did a lot of switching and picking up stuff. And I was going to mention these RPO cars. They're actually like a post office on wheels. You had post office employee. Oh, look at that. We got a guy there standing ready to throw the hook up. I guess he's one of my Weston Figures flexible Freddy guys. And yeah, they picked up mail. They had to sort through the bag real fast and see what's going to the next town. They had to hurry up and get that into the sack. Oh, by the way, when they pick up a sack, you also throw out a sack on a platform. So they got to be fast and find out what mail goes to the next town. Okay, well, all the mail has to originate from all these little towns and brought to their post office. Here we have a post office, we'll call this Winslow, Arizona. And you see a letter carrier coming back to the post office, and he has to dump out his mail sack, which I'm sure he's happy to get rid of. And he might have his mail all pre-bundled for the different towns along the route, east route, west route, to make things move a lot faster at the post office. There you see him walking, that's a Weston Figure. And you see his car, his hot rod. He likes old Ford sedans. That one's got a chopped top about 4 inches. I like to throw that in there. And when he gets done with his route, he's going to go over to Gasoline Alley Garage. He's going to go over to Gasoline Alley Garage with the guys and have some coffee and talk cars and stuff like that. Now, you remember the comic strip? There's the old man Joel with his wagon and horses or donkey, always going through the neighborhood looking for junk. Then we're going to move over and look at our train station. Winslow, Arizona has a depot pretty much like this. And so I made this out of cardboard and plaster of Paris and used some Campbell Southwestern style windows and vents in it. And they still stop there today, Amtrak trains. And next to the depot I put in a little freight dock. And that consists of a Campbell freight dock and an old-time Ari's freight storage station, which is like made from a boxcar like they often did years ago. And it just fits nicely with the freight dock. And you can see a door signal real close right there, down on the lower track right here. And let's go talk about the mail crane right now. So the postmaster now, he brings out a sack of mail for the eastbound fast mail. He brings it out to this mail crane. We pretend it's him right there doing the job. There's a timekeeper right there. People have been complaining about the mail being late. So they send out a timekeeper to check it out, see if it's true or not. If it's true that the mail's running late, they're going to find out what's delaying the mail train. So there's our mail crane. It can swivel. It can swivel out of the way while he's loading the bag. And when it's ready to be picked up, we swing it out like that. And then while we're talking about the scene here, we have a Campbell passenger platform right here where the men can work from. And also I have some of my sagebrush kits that I put there. Put them right here in this scene because I photographed this area more than anything else. And there's some extra mail sacks here. We haven't painted green yet. And the mail sacks are made with real thin stainless steel wire. And the sack itself is a magnetic material made from a KD coupler that I cut pieces out of. Okay, we have a crossing shanty here for the people that come out there with a stop sign when you have a train coming through. That's before you had gates and flashing lights. So the railroad employed a lot of people in these towns where there are main lines running through, and to avoid accidents, a man had to come out there and stop people. This shanty was made from a bridges and buildings idea. I built a lot of stuff from that book, and I thought this crossing shanty would look real good here on the edge of the layout. And I do extra stuff with the chimney, so it don't look like all the same old brick chimneys. Sort of a stucco chimney with a smoke pipe sticking out. Here's a wood box, or the wood stove if they want to use that. And right here is a 250-gallon fuel tank. They came from George Barrett from Sheepscot scale models. And those are real popular up until even today. They still burn fuel. So right here on the road now, we have our asphalt pavement material. And on either side of the road, we have a sidewalk made from our concrete pavement material. And the grade crossing planks are Campbell switch ties. They're real thin and they fit in there nicely. And it just looks a little bit more rustic when you hand build everything. There's some imperfections in the work, and I make it look more real. Now the grade crossing flasher is going, and it has a cabinet right there for its equipment. I think this one came from Oregon Rail up there in Seattle area. And their kits you put together, they're rather tedious, but it works just fine. And the flasher unit comes from the guy that does Tortoise switch machines. Circuitron, I believe it is, Steve, and I've got a couple different ones for different parts of the layout. Okay, let's go back and look at that mail crane. Okay, the mail crane here, we're going to do another slow motion demonstration so you can see how it works. And I incorrectly said that these mail sacks are made from a KD coupler. It's KD uncoupler, the rubber magnets. So I'm going to back up the mail train real slow here. That's why I have the sack turned in. The hook is down. The hook is down, and we'll show you how you just raise the hook to catch mail. I might be able to sneak past that mail sack with it turned in. Okay, we're going to stop the train right there now. Everybody get it out of the way. Okay, we're going to do a slow speed demonstration here to make sure you see what happened. We turn the mail crane out with the sack on it. I have the hook up on the RPO, and we're going to bring them on in. Just about there. There. Okay, now let me back up the train so you can see how the mail sack stays attached to the hook. Like I said, it's magnetic material and a stainless steel hook. And it comes off real easily for the next time you want to set it up. Okay, we're going to do another run at catching this mail sack at high speed. This time we're going to use the old heavyweight RPO and catch it with its hook. So we're going to get all my bells and whistles on.